So this is me. Same big hair of brown, big brown eyes, staring into the world in a camera that my mom could never put down. Born as an Orlando native to a first-generation Iranian-American family, I found not just a home in Central Florida, I found a purpose. For my mom, her purpose was in family, and she grew up in Iran. The photo that should be going up soon, are the screens still moving? Okay. So, my mom found a purpose in her family, and so she was the sister of 4 children and a brother. And so for her, growing up in Iran, she realized very quickly that she was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And that is why she made the daring adventure to come to this country and to call America home. And so this is a photo from 1994 in East Orlando. It was our first ever house. Our mom was tearing off the plastic from the windows, and she was so excited that all of her kids could finally have a space to call their own. I remember her talking about us running around, getting our dirty hands everywhere, and she was just so grateful that she was able to give that to her children. But again, wrong place, wrong time. My mom, growing up in Iran, wanted to be a doctor and was told that only men could do that. And so she actually had an accounting degree and came to this country working at McDonald's, then Kmart, where she rose to be a department manager. And that was her last job because in 2004, she passed away to cancer. My mom had a deep sense of resilience. She passed that on to her girls pretty quickly. And I'll tell you, growing up as a woman of color in this dominant white culture is hard. And I navigated that my entire life. And just being a woman in general, we can find agreement that this shit is difficult. Women face huge disadvantages compared to our male counterparts. Not only are we more subjected to catcalling and objectification of our bodies, sexual assault, but we also have this unrealistic image of beauty that is bestowed upon us and one that we have to face and try to adapt to. This image of beauty here in this country is one that is thin yet big busted, white but tanned, long straight hair, petite in presence, designed for the male gaze. And for me growing up, my decision was to either succumb to this type of culture of dieting and seeking men attention or reject it. And I think y'all know exactly what I did. Fuck the patriarchy and fuck misogyny. We must embrace all body types, ages, colors, genders, and sexualities too, and not just embrace them, but fight for their existence because they matter so much to each one of us. And to that point, I have always been an organizer at a very young age. This is a photo of me at my first day of school. And in 5th grade, I launched a petition to keep one of my classmates in the same class as I. And I delivered those signatures to my principal. I lost that campaign, but I kept that spirit with me, and it was not the last time I fought for a cause. I ended up at University High School where I was first exposed to abstinence-only education. Y'all might have heard of this shit. It isn't really education. It uses fear and misinformation to deter young people from sexual activity. And my educator was actually an older white woman who stood on a stage, kind of like this one, but 600 hormonal young people, and actually used gum as an example. And so she asked this young man in the front if he wanted a stick of gum, and before she gave it to him, she chewed it and took it out and said, "Now do you want it?" Comparing the gum to a used vagina. Yeah. And the candy metaphors kept going, y'all. She was not done. So I was upset. I had to leave the space, and she stood at the double doors, the basket of mints, and asked each one of us to take a commitment to her that we wouldn't have sex before marriage. I like mints. I really do. And I looked at her, looked at that goddamn basket, and I walked out. I didn't take a mint. But I made a commitment. It just wasn't to her, it was to me. That 1, I would totally have sex before marriage. That 2, it would be amazing. And 3, it would be safe. And so that's when I found Planned Parenthood. And I walked into that clinic as an 18-year-old by myself, and the environment was so incredibly different. These were folks that really respected my existence and my autonomy and were helping me make my own personal medical decisions without judgment or shame. And that's what set me up to be able to go to the University of Central Florida, where I really began to understand my authentic self. And it was at that great campus where I understood how personal the political really is. And all the experiences of oppression that I've already shared weren't just isolated to me. These were issues that impacted all people of all creeds and backgrounds. And the personal really is political. And I unlocked the incredible world of community organizing, which is an art and a science. Because at the end of the day, power is nothing to be scared of. And power is not evil. It is neither good or bad. It is neutral. It just depends who wields it. And for today, every person in this space, especially the women, you need to be power hungry, because we got to build it for each other, with each other, if we're going to change this great community and this beautiful country. I rose from a Planned Parenthood patient to a volunteer to a staff member. I now serve as the Senior Director of Public Affairs and Communications across 22 great counties. And if there's one thing I've learned in this work, it's that again, these issues are intersectional. You know, reproductive rights is tied to LGBTQ equality, is tied to gun violence, is tied to immigration, is tied to racial justice, economic justice. And if y'all haven't took a step yet to help change this state, what the hell are you waiting for? We need you. This country needs you. And I'll tell you, this is the part where, each one of us really need to understand how no one is free unless each one of us are free. This country is built on a history of oppression. When our founders came here for freedom, they succeeded in accomplishing it through taking away from others. That is our history. It does not have to define our future. And so, looking at this beautiful country that we have and why my mom came here searching for her own freedom, she was at the wrong place at the wrong time and struggled as an immigrant woman in this nation. I like to think that though it is a different time, sometimes it doesn't feel like a different place. And we can change that. And that needs to be our commitment to each other when we leave this space, that we're going to lead change collectively. And if there's any city that can do it, I know it's Orlando.